Welcome back to one more class, bio class. That will be, as you know, that in continuation of that chapter 4, Animal Kingdom. In previous class, you have seen what we have done. We have done amphibia, reptiles and birds. You see the distinctive features of that. In amphibia, reptiles and apes, or what all these are having distinctive features of that. Right. So now then today we will start. The next is the mammalia. As we see that the classification moving from simplicity to complexity, that will be the systematic classification, which will show the evolutionary relationship among between these two phylums. So that as you see that amphibia, that is the smallest in a two heart chamber heart. So then when we talk about the birds, then we have reptiles, the 3-chamber heart, and then one more incomplete chamber in crocodile, which show that in crocodile 3 chamber and one is incomplete chamber, means 4 chamber is not completed, 3.5 you can say. So now that will be showing that it will be evolution. When we come to the apes, then apes are having 4-chamber heart. It means, and and apes are also having the flying adaptations also. So now that some features are there, some characteristics are there which make them unable to fly. And now that as you know that 4 limbs are modified into wings, pneumatic bones are there, now strong flight muscles are there. So these are some characteristics are there, modifications are there which make them to fly. So now then when we talk about these mammalia, so the distinctive features, as first of all we will see that why it is called mammalia. Because of they have mammary glands, mammary glands. Because of that name of this phylum will be mammalia. Mammary glands, that is the very most important and distinctive feature of this phylum. You haven't seen any other phylum such the gland. They are able to produce milk, so that the females of this phylum feed their young one. As human being, we are also mammal. In our mammal, that is female also, or mothers, mothers also giving milk, breast milk, or food for their young one. So now that is a special feature or characteristics. Second, they have 4-chambered heart. 4-chambered heart. Now when we talk about these warm-blooded organisms, in your book one more term is given for warm-blooded. Now that cold-blooded and warm-blooded. So new term which you haven't seen, warm-blooded and cold-blooded, in class 10th also you have done, I think. But in that new term is there for cold-blooded, we are at poikilothermus. This means that is cold-blooded. Now when we talk about warm-blooded, it is also called homeothermus. Right. So now that is means these are group of these apes, and rest of the amphibia, reptiles, these are poikilothermus or cold-blooded. When we talk about this, these are homeothermus, or you can say warm-blooded, means body temperature is constant. As you know, our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So now that is constant. Now then fourth, they have hair on skin. Fourth one, there is lungs, respiration from lungs. Now they have got heterodont, different type of teeth. Mammals are having different type of teeth. Those teeth are, canine, incisor, molar, premolar. Have you heard these names? In the next animal physiology we will see that. But now here I am telling you only, it is heterodont. Means presence of different type of teeth. As I told you, in the next chapter 16, we will study about those, what are those different type of. Now then here they have got sexes are different, sexes are separate. Or next, internal fertilization, direct development, means no larval stage is there, direct development, Mostly these are organisms of these phylum. These are viviparous. Viviparous. You know that viviparous means those are giving birth to young one. Viviparous. And those are laying eggs, those are called oviparous. So generally the most of the mammals are viviparous, but one example except one is the platypus. It is given in your book also, platypus. This is mammal, this is mammal but oviparous. Means these are rest of the other features, the characteristics are resemble with this group. So then we are putting this in this mammals. Only one is that is a oviparous. Rest of the characteristics are same like this. So now that mammals are, that mammals are showing one more, the bipedal movement. Right? In mammals, bipedal movements and quadrupedal. I am telling both. Quadrupedal movements, quadrupedal movement. Quadri means four legs. We have got 4 limbs and one pair forelimbs, one pair hind limbs. But animals, cow, buffalo, dog, cat, all these are showing those all 4 limbs and hind limbs. They are used for walking, jumping. Means that will be, they are showing quadrupedal movement. Means by 4, quadri means 4, pedal means poda. Poda means legs. So then there is movement, quadrupedal movement. But in mammal, we are human being. When we talk about human being, we are walking with 2 legs, or that is hind limbs. Our 4 limbs are modified into hands. And now these we are using for work, for holding things, for writing, for different type of work we are doing with our 4 limbs. These 4 limbs are our hands or arms. Now, and legs, hind limbs are used for walking. But so then we are showing bipedal human being. In this mammalia, both movements are there, bipedal movement. We are showing bipedal movement. Bi means 2, and these are showing 4 legs. Cow, buffalo, dog, cat, all these are. But in case we are human being, we are showing bipedal, one more advancement. But you see that when the child born, they start to moving. Now then they start to crawling. They are using both hind limbs and forelimbs both, and then they are crawling. Slowly when they learn, they try to stand on 2 legs and they start to walk. So now earliest stage of that movement is showing quadrupedal movement, crawling, and then we are showing bipedal movement. Right? So this is about the animal kingdom, that all these last topic of this mammalia. Now all these characteristics we have told, and when you see in your book, I want to show you that book in the chart in last. At the end of this, you see this chart table. When you see this table, everything is same and you learn the whole chapter. You see in this one, the upper portion that is written basis of the classification. Here they have written the phylums. Here we can talk about first Porifera, that is the level of organization, then symmetry, then coelom, then segmentation, all these present or absent. And in last you see that here that will be distinctive features, means each and every phylum having some special characteristics which will a special feature which will differentiate from others. As you know, Porifera, porous body, I told, a water canal system also. Porous body means entire body having pores. When we talk about human being, I told yesterday we have got distinctive feature, mammary glands. When we talk about Coelenterata, that they have got nidoblast. Now the platyhelminthes, that is a flattened body. Flattened flatworms are there, and they are parasite, and they are fragile. Hooks and suckers are there. It means when we move forward, then they have got all these phylums having some special features, which are mentioned, which all these features are mentioned at the last column. Okay, so just see this properly, then you can easily understand the whole chapter, right? Then you, in that case, you will learn the examples of each and phylum. 3 examples you will learn, the whole chapter finish. Right? And now then I think you would be able to do the all questions from that textbook when after finishing this chapter. And one match the following is given. So I think that no need to write in your notebook except that question, all questions you will do. Right? 2 questions are there MCQ type, but you will do because MCQ will also be there in your format of your question paper. So then MCQ you will have to do. So the match the following is not in your type pattern of any question paper, so I am not saying. Only we will just see that. Whether you don't know, then we will tell you. But you can find easily that all answers from your book. So now then we will today, as you have seen already, we have given planner for July month, and then you see that in July month, that is in this today's class session, we will have certain mammalia and introduction of chapter 5. Means here we have to give chapter 5 introduction, right? That will be from the chapter 5, that is morphology of flowering plants. That is morphology, chapter 5, morphology of flowering plants. Flowering plants means angiosperm. Flowering plants means angiosperm. Here means morphology means external features. When we will see the outside, we don't go to the huge microscope. We will not go to anatomy. That is called internal features, anatomy, when we are talking about the tissues. But here we will see the externally what features we can see with naked eyes. We will study about that, right? So you know, in any plant's growth, when seeds will germinate, they have got two parts are there. That is radicle and plumule, which will grow downwards, which will grow upwards. Mean downwards means to the soil, under the soil. It will be plumule, means that will be above the soil, right? So now that radicle will be responsible for the root system, right? Or that will be responsible for shoot system, right? When we talk about roots, here that is when we will draw angiospermic plants, that is means their soil is there, here radical part is there, the roots are growing, then these are like this. So these roots are radical part, right? Now here then that will divide into first branch that is called primary root, right? The second branch will be arising from this primary root, it is called secondary root. Now when number of branches are there, tertiary root, means branches are growing, right? This is a root radical system or root system. When above we will see, then above stems will grow. In stems, you know, nodes and internodes are present. Through nodal region, then branches are arising. Now here then leaf. This is angiospermic plant, so we have to show flower also, right? Now then suppose here flowers are there. Now then here some birds are there. Means here this is system, nodes and internodes. Now then here that is stem, this is leaf, this is flower, right? This is bud, right? These are node, and space between two nodes, that is called internodes. So now then branches are arising from nodal region. So this is the angiospermic flower, with a flowering plant. Angiospermic plant or flowering plant. So which are shown everything. This is a radical system or root system, or that is shoot system. It will be just above the, I shown that it will be growing above, that will be downwards. So now then come to the roots. Such roots, when we are growing the primary root, secondary root, tertiary root, and then they are going downwards also, just like this. So this is called root system, that is a tap root system. What is it called? Tap root system. Right. Sometimes that roots are, suppose there are, we are drawing here, that will be, some roots are just at the base. Here the from the stem, this one, from the base of that stem, roots are, number of roots are like this, arising this one, and that we have got tuft of root branches. That is tuft means bunch of root branches, root hairs or roots are called, you can say, that is a tuft of roots. That is called fibrous root system. What is it called? Fibrous fibrous root system. Right? These two type of systems are there, taproot system and fibrous root system. In taproot system is found in dicot plants, right? And that fibrous root in monocot plant. Right? Means by seeing when small weeds are there, you can just see at home also in small weeds, small plants you just uproot that, then you can see which type of roots are there. If such type of roots, that is called, it means that is a monocot plant. If such type of roots, it means that is a taproot system, or taproot means dicot plant. Right? So now this is our, one more type of root is there, that will be arising. Those roots which are arising not from this root system, radical part, those are arising from the plumule part or from the shoot part, or those roots, some roots arising from stem, from any part of stem, that is called, these root is called adventitious root. Adventitious root. Right? That is for support. Is that a well-known example of this one? That is banyan tree. In banyan tree, these roots are hanging, just like hanging roots are there. Those are adventitious roots which are supporting the plants. Right? Now in that dicot, which will be then beans are there, gram is there. Then wheat is the example here, we can say, right example, any monocot plant, that is a wheat. You can write here example, that is gram. Right? And here that is example adventitious root, that is banyan. Right? Now then when we talk about the function of root, what is the function of, why roots are, just now, till now you have heard that roots are absorbing water and minerals and salts from soil. That is the main function. You have heard this one, you know about that. Now rest of that, more functions are there that is performed by roots. Not only absorption, other functions also there, which you will see here. Now then, the function of root. One function is, first one, absorption of water, minerals and salts from soil. Right? First. Second one, they meant for storage. Roots store food. Third one, they support plants. Roots support plant. Right? Now fourth one, they roots synthesize plant growth regulator. Plant growth regulator. It is also called PGR. These plant growth regulator, these are also called regulators. These are phytohormones. What are these? Phytohormones. In class 10th you have done auxins. Right? These are phytohormones, auxins, gibberellins. Right? These are the examples of phytohormones or PGR, that is synthesizes in root synthesize these plant growth regulators. Right? So these are the important functions of root. Now sometimes roots are modified to performing such functions. Now that is support. Right? That is a modification. So next topic of this morphology, this chapter, that is modification of roots. Right? So in next chapter, again I am saying that complete your homework, revise taught topic, whatever being taught, so that you can revise, and at the time of test and periodic test, you won't have any problem. When you will side by side, you will revising that topics. Okay? So then enjoy your studies, do your work, and stay safe at home.